Hi, Martin here, and thank you for joining me for this week's video. I hope you're all well and you've had super creative weeks and weekends in your workshops. Now, I've been promising it for months that I would do an overview of the Robert Sorby Pro-Edge. Now, this isn't going to be a review as such because I use it every day. I love it and I think that should be enough. So this is going to be an overview on sort of how to use it and what's included with my particular version, which is the deluxe or plus version of the Pro-Edge. Now, with the deluxe version of the Pro-Edge, you get the fingernail jig, the standard grind jig, and the long fingernail jig as well. And this is the one I use exclusively for my bowl gouges and spindle gouges. Now, in this video, I will actually show you how to sharpen, or how I sharpen a bowl gouge, and I'll be using a 1/2 inch bowl gouge to illustrate that. You also get the skew jig and a standard gouge jig as well if you want to put on a standard factory grind. So let's take a quick look at the actual unit itself. It's got a small little 1/2 horsepower motor, very sturdily mounted on a metal base plate, which I have bolted down to the workbench. And on the front here is a very handy angle guide for all of the most used tools in a wood turner's arsenal. Bolted to the side is a very easily adjustable plate which you use for scrapers and also putting in the standard gouge jig and also the skew jig as well. And that's very easily removable. You just unscrew it from the side, which will then enable you to use the fingernail jig, which is brilliant. Really quick, very easy to use and change over the stuff. Now, depending upon your retailer, you may get different things in the deluxe set. So on here at the moment, I've got a 60 grit aluminium oxide belt, and to change the belts you can undo the screws or undo the little finger bolts on the right hand side of the unit, take off the cover, flip open the lever to loosen the belt, slide one off, slide the next one on, tighten up the belt, put the cover back on, and you're good to go. The machine out of the factory is already centered, so the belt will run true every time. Now, included with the Pro-Edge Deluxe is this really handy little angle finder, and with the fingernail jig that comes with it, you can mount the gouge very easily into the jig, poke it through. This customer wants this gouge ground to 45 degrees, so by using the 45 degree slot you can slide the jig up against the bench, the gouge goes through, tighten it all down, and you're good to go. So with the 60 grit belt back on the machine, I'm going to grind this gouge down to 45 degrees, which is what the customer wants, with a long grind. So in the long grind jig, I've put it in the furthest back hole, which will give me the longest possible grind. And Sorby recommend that you wear eye protection and also a dust mask when you're doing this, because there is stock that comes off the gouge, of course, and you want to be protecting your eyes and your lungs too. But for this case, I'm not going to not wear a dust mask, at least, because I want to talk to you whilst I do it, and you don't want me to sound like that what I do. So let's switch the machine on. As you can see there, the belt is running nice and true. I haven't touched that since it was delivered back in November. And then with just a little bit of pressure, you can put the gouge onto the belt and start forming the grind that you want. And I'm going to work on the wings first. Roll over the toe, move the jig along the bar and start on the other side. There, now as you can see there, we have a nice convex shape to the wing out of the gouge, which is what we're looking for. And then we can move down from the 60 grit belt, and we'll move down to a 120. And I'm going to put on a 120 zirconium belt, which is the pretty blue one. Then we can do a few passes with the 120 before we move down to 240. That's all you need with 120. Now I must add that you don't have to use 60 grit, 120 grit and then 240 every time you sharpen a gouge. You would only really use this combination for reshaping your gouges if you're upgrading to the Pro-Edge from a standard wheeled grinder. And once you've done it, you can leave your final grit in place just for honing your grind, or putting an edge back on when you're part way through a bowl. So this belt is the aluminium oxide 240, and this will put on the final edge. And that's it. Once you're done with the 240 belt, then your gouge is good to go to turn another bowl. But these belts cost money. They vary in price from country to country and retailer to retailer. So I was a little bit extravagant. And after the 240, I decided that I would go with the diamond belt. Now the diamond belt is, for the price, which it is very expensive, let's be honest, it will outlast all of your other belts and is absolutely fabulous at putting an edge back on your gouges, your skews and your scrapers very, very quickly. And up until this point I hadn't taken this diamond belt off in nearly 4 months. And it's great. And you use it in just the same way as you do the others, and you just use it for putting an edge back on. Halfway through turn. And there we are. Very, very happy with that. That is gorgeous edge. Now with the diamond belt, you'll notice that it gets a little bit dirty, a little bit grubby, and having spoken to Robert Sorby about the diamond belt, they recommend actually cleaning it with soapy water, making sure you rinse it properly afterwards and letting it dry thoroughly before putting it back on the machine and using it again. And I've done that, and it works perfectly well. So let's take a look now at using the plate to sharpen a scraper. Sharpening scrapers is exactly the same as far as the grits are concerned as with the bowl gouge. Go down through your grits, then leave the last grit on for putting the edge back on as you're turning. But you need to use the plate to sharpen your scrapers, and as you can see here, this angle isn't quite right for the scraper. So you can loosen the plate and then adjust the angle accordingly. There we go. Screw that in, tighten it up, and then just with a little bit of pressure downwards into the plate, you can very easily swing the handle of the scraper around in order to give you the radius that you want. There, and that's put on a mighty fine edge. Now if the angle that you're sharpening at isn't very comfortable for you, down here at the bottom is a little bolt that you can undo. Oh, he says, I haven't done this for a little while. So you can undo that, and then you can actually adjust the angle of the Pro-Edge to suit the most comfortable angle for you to sharpen at, and then just with a single little finger tight turn, it's back in place and rock solid. Now for sharpening a skew, you can use the included Skew Jig that fits into that little slot there, which gives you the correct angle for your skew, or in particular the Sorby skews, and then you can use that just to push that up, push the skew up against the belt to sharpen it that way, and then turn it round the other side to sharpen on that side as well. Very simple, very quick. And then you can swap that over for the standard grind, change the angle as required, and then if you do have a gouge with a standard profile on, which I don't, you can use that just by sitting it inside and then just turning the gouge in the V slot there. Very simple. So there we are, that's the end of my overview of the Sorby Pro-Edge. There are lots of other videos out there about the Pro-Edge, including on Sorby's own site, that shows other techniques, particularly regrinding from a very badly ground gouge. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or queries about it, then please do leave them in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. And please do like, share and subscribe as well. If you've got any specific comments about purchasing or anything like that, then please do contact your local supplier of the Sorby Pro-Edge, as I'm unable to answer those kinds of questions. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I look forward to seeing you again very soon for another project video, and also on Friday for this week's Turner's Journey. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.